What does it truly feel like to have everything about your experience randomized in a game, just like how it is in real life? People don't get to choose what they start out with in life, what they get in life, or how they get it. So how would this translate into a video game? Project Overtime is a 2 to 4 person split screen third person shooter game that is completely randomized, from the map and where buildings are spawning to how much health a player will have and how fast their health will regenerate. This creates a unique experience that is different each time for the players. Players are dropped in a randomized area and have to kill to survive. The rules are simple. Scavenge the environment to find items that you can use to kill other players, and kill the most players within a 10-minute time frame. Players do not start off with any weapons, but as the game slowly progresses, the map will randomly start to spawn weapons such as swords and small knives to handguns and sniper rifles. The longer the game goes on, the more powerful weapons will spawn, the most powerful weapons being spawned at the last few minutes of the game. Players can then pick up these weapons to use on other players. They must be careful, however, because guns drop with limited amount of ammo, and the player must find more if they run out. This is similar to H1Z1, PUBG, and other battle royale games, in the sense that the drops are random. Project Overtime differs in making not just item spawns random, but also making the map random as well. Since there are no monsters or NPCs to play against, this makes the other players the main anti-force within the game. However, they are not the only anti-force. Players still have to worry about the map being a major anti-force. Since the map is never the same, this will make it hard for players to catch their ground and safely navigate the map to avoid other players. This also gives a more tactical feel to the game as the players can't just simply memorize the maps to know where players frequent the most and camp those areas. Even though the game plays random every time, players can still deploy different strategies to try and get an advantage over other players in the round. Players can choose to sneak around the map and try to find strategic locations to kill other players and find a lot of ammo. Or they can run out in the middle of the map and try to kill everyone they find. Players can also choose to use a more melee approach to combat or just use mainly guns. The basic mobility of the player includes walking and running, crouching, and jumping. The players can also attack another person using melee or shooting a weapon. Since the game uses traditional third-person mechanics, the theme can be made into anything that developers would like. This can range from a western theme to a futuristic city theme and much more. Giving absolute freedom to the developers as to what to choose for theme makes the experience of creating the game more interesting for them and gives them room to create wild and crazy ideas that could fit the theme that they choose. This could even open the floor to new and fresh mechanics ideas if they fit in the theme. Say the developers decided to build a game in a western theme using mainly knives and revolvers as weapons. A player loads into the game and finds themselves next to an old western saloon. This gives the player a hint as to what they are looking for when items start to spawn in. After looking around, the player finds a revolver on the floor of a saloon. When he turns around, he sees a player running at him with a knife. The player then decides to attempt to shoot the attacker. After using all of their ammo, the player kills the attacker. Now the player has to risk going outside and finding more ammo to be able to use the gun or take the attacker's knife. Risking what item to take is a big decision because it means that they will either be carrying a gun and potentially find more ammo, or they could take the knife and be on the safe side. Some of the risks included in making this game are the time it would take to make the algorithms for the random generation of the maps. I have a working prototype that shows randomly generated maps that players can walk around in. Another risk could be finding a balance as to how many weapons and buildings are spawned on each map, but this can be set to have only a certain number of weapons and buildings spawned based on how large the map is. Also, having an algorithm place the buildings without them blocking off paths is a concern, but this can be easily avoided by extending the building colliders around the building so that the colliders wouldn't block any of the paths off. This has been Project Overtime. Thank you for your time.